knight c3. Okay.
We will see the same rouser probably.
Yeah, the same rouser, because Levon, I mean, the only way, the only line you do not want to play is the Sveshnikov, right? I mean, with all those tricky moves like 3 bishop b5, 3 knight c3. Actually, in this sense, I kind of prefer 3 knight c3, because you can still play normal Sicilian like Levon does in this particular line. And once again, the same not the same thing that Anna did, because he first goes knight f3, right? d5, king b1, so he will keep the tension for as long as possible, at least waiting for black to play h6. Then, of course, you can take, because it will be clear tempo up compared to...
Yeah, but black will not play h6.
Black will not play h6, of course. The question, however, is what black is going to play.
But what is happening after b4? Isn't king b1 just a bad move? And maybe Levon just mixed it up?
I'm not sure. He will have to take, I believe, on f6. But then black gets a chance
with the bishop.
Black gets the chance to take with the bishop, and this should be a
and there we
serious
go.
improvement. Yeah, bishop takes, pawn takes.
Wow.
But why would you take with the pawn? That's the question. Yeah, because I thought the whole point was that you kind of tricked white. He couldn't move the knight from c3 because e4 pawn was hanging, so that after bishop f6 you could take with the bishop.
Exactly.
Because now you get your normal rouser position, which I believe is favorable for white. And knight on e2 is not that much misplaced unless he's not in time to control d5. e5 is a clever move.
Yeah,
because
f5, e5.
Next move, I mean, sorry, e5 is a clever move. That's what I wanted to say. Because next move for white would have been knight f4. And then you're really uncomfortable because your e6 is under pressure and you can never play e5 because knight lands on d5.
Yeah.
But Aronian has a different plan. Rook g1 and g4 opening. I mean, it's not the conventional way to play against this structure.
Yeah.
So I believe objectively black has to be fine or even more than fine.
I was in fact expecting knight c1 followed by bishop c4.
Yeah, that's what you usually do. You try to fight for d5 square. But Levon, well, perhaps made the decision that I will play quickly and try to play like the natural moves and then see what happens.
No, so the point is that Levon is not an e4 player, yeah? And
once again, not such a specialist, right?
Yeah, he plays all the Grand Chess tours and he plays against the elite, so there are certain openings that probably he knows very well.
Yeah, he has prepared knight f obviously, because he has like Graf playing there and guys like that, but...
In all e4, e5s he's very familiar, but exactly the rouser...
Yeah, knight c1 had to happen sooner or later, because if you go to the g3, first of all, it's not clear what the knight is doing there. Okay, bishop f8, that's a very typical move in rouser. So you put the king on e7, in fact. You cannot castle with such a structure, but king on e7 is relatively safe, and the bishop very often goes to h6.
But hang on, now tempo-wise, I can go knight b3, and if you go bishop h6, I can take on d6, and if you take on b3 and go king e7, I get my bishop to c4.
Right. So knight b3, I will have to... What do I do after knight b3? That's a good question. If I just start with with king e7, it's same. You take
no,
on
then
a5.
I take and queen d6 checkmate.
Ah, yeah, that's not
so
very
maybe
pleasant.
you have to play rook c8.
Not very pleasant.
Because you have to stop bishop c4. There is just no way you can allow bishop c4.
Yeah, absolutely. If bishop lands to d5, then black is in trouble. Well, the other thing, however, if he takes b3, goes bishop h6, exchanges, goes king e7, it could be that black has... Ah, well, no, the other pawn is lost on a6, yeah. I don't believe. I mean, sometimes they sacrifice a pawn or even two and still get the compensation, but apparently not
to b7.
Here. Knight b7, planning to kick this knight away with a4, a5. But he allows bishop c4.
Yeah, no, this is bad. This is bad.
Of course, Levon uses the chance. Rook to c8. Okay, bishop d5. Or you can consider queen e2.
You can even consider queen d5, but then I defend with knight d8.
Yeah, the knight on b7 is nothing to be proud of. So you actually want to put it on. Yeah, bishop d5 is logical follow-up. The knights are badly placed, though, for white. I mean, you would like your knight, one of your knights to be closer to d5 square. Bishop h6, queen g2, I assume. Can I play queen g2?
Okay, king e7.
And then...
It's still not so easy to get to the black king.
I'm starting rook g7. Bishop takes, queen takes. You protect f7, I go knight g5, sacrificing everything and maybe resigning afterwards.
Yeah.
But this is the way to proceed. Queen g2 and rook g7 is the only way I can get access to this king. Yeah, king e7 and...
Yeah, but it's also not obvious if you really need to get access. I mean, you are strategically better. I mean, after king e7, even some moves like knight f3 to d2, heading to c4. I mean, white's advantage seems way too big.
Wait, bishop c6. All right, so he's fine with white giving a check on g8, and then he's going to go king e7.
And then he goes
That's
king
probably
e7.
smart. That's probably smart, because you want to get rid of this bishop on d5.
Yeah, but finally Firouzja got exactly what you are not supposed to get.
I'm not sure, because the knights are still far away from d5. The knight on b7 leaves me with very strange... I mean, that's really not where you're supposed to have a knight in Sicily.
What is the time situation? 50-something for Firouzja, and...
I believe for this time format we have to call it comfortable. I mean, it's not 10 seconds, so it is comfortable. Okay, takes with the pawn, because at least on e4 you can get one of your knights. But then, of course, king is very safe on e7.
Yeah, now black is in the game.
Queen h3.
Oh, wow, the pin.
That's... Yeah, I mean, you might end up with this bishop being passive.
Okay, the question, can you go queen e3
or queen c... queen e3 is interesting.
But then rook d3.
Wait, what happens if queen f2, for instance?
Queen
F2.
Queen
f2, attacking c2, because as long as the bishop is on h6, there is no comfortable way to protect c2 pawn.
Wow, what a turnaround. Now black is maybe just much better. How to protect?
Knight d2,
Knight d2, but
under the pin.
Hard to believe that this is not losing, yeah? But maybe not, yeah?
Yeah, maybe not. Bishop takes d2, rook h8, but did he spot something?
There must be something. I mean, I
rook
cannot
takes
believe...
c2 and bishop c3.
But then knight d2.
But then what does it... no, he just exchanges on h8, takes
and
on
takes
f3.
on f3, and it's
and
game
white
over.
cannot capture on d2, so Levon blundered. Levon blundered heavily. Queen f3, yeah, rook g1, but this should be winning for black now.
Yeah, shaking his head, yeah, this is...
This should be completely winning for black. I mean, he has to be careful a little bit, just, you know, to get the knight on a decent square. Bishop e3, rook e1. I mean, just get your knight to c5. Queen takes. Queen c8. Okay, and now you know. Now
no, knight c5, queen c7,
still,
knight d7.
Yeah,
that's the way.
Still, that's what you have to do. I
then
mean,
you stabilize. But now he's done to a few seconds.
Bishop f2. Rook f1. He can never take. Bishop b6. No, I mean, I don't like. Why would you move the bishop, which was not necessarily attacked?
Yeah, but he's on 6 seconds.
b3. I mean, that's an ugly way to make a luft for the king, but you don't have any other ways.
Yeah, now black is winning, yeah.
Yeah, actually, now I realize that the bishop b7, it wasn't bishop b6 wasn't a panicky move. He actually doesn't want the knight on d7. He wants the knight on c3. Knight c3 check.
Levon is down to 2 seconds.
Who's going to protect the king? Bishop d4, still no checks for white. Queen c8. Knight b5 check. Wow. Bishop c3, rook d1, knight d4. Now check's starting.
Wow, what a blunder.
Check.
What a blunder.
And he cannot go to g8 because of rook g1 check. So it's a draw.
Incredible.
It's a draw. Well, Firouzja got Aronian totally outplayed and then blundered on seconds. Yeah, black was completely winning. That was a very, very nice, I'd say in a way, was instructive game.
Well, I mean, outplayed, it's maybe too much. It was this queen f2 contra shot that Levon missed with queen h3.